What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Creekside Podcast. Today we are breaking news with HDA Cigars. You're going to want to stick around for this. Zack,
Dave,
welcome to the Creek.
What's up,
welcome
brother?
back to the Creek.
For sure.
Technically the past two times you've been here, I've missed you.
Yeah. I like coming back to the creek and it's all green outside.
That's why I faced this way. I'm like, I want a new angle for the pod this week, and it's mesmerizing outside. You could just get lost looking at it.
Yeah. Fresh rain yesterday. Nice and green. The last time I was here, it was February. It was cold everywhere. So, yeah, man, thanks for having me back, dude. I always love coming by, swinging by, and stopping in and smoking cigars with the boys.
Dude, absolutely. We were talking, I don't know how long ago this was, maybe a month or 2 months ago, and you were sharing with me some news that we'll get to eventually in this podcast. You guys are just going to have to wait a little longer.
Listen to us talk in the meantime.
And just hearing kind of your excitement for it and what it was, going to allow you guys to do and all of that, I was like, can you please talk about this on the Creekside Podcast? Because a lot of times I feel like things like this become just little like press release snippets.
Yeah.
And people have questions, but they normally don't ask the questions. They'll just assume things or whatever the case may be. So I love the idea of talking about things like this on a longer form medium, like a podcast, because it allows us to kind of have a whole dialogue about it. And I mean, really do what you and Dre have done from the beginning, which is bring people along for the ride of building a cigar brand.
Yeah.
Which not many people get to do, and even fewer people get to see the true inner workings of it. So anyway, I'm excited for today. And before we get there, we've got to talk about these unbanded things in our hands.
Yeah, man. This is
fake, by the way.
This is fake. This is a test blend that Andre and I have been working on. If you saw us at PCA, we were able to get you a couple. So it only felt right that we lead with one of these. This is a cigar that we are looking to potentially release around Veterans Day. We kind of, Veterans Day, for a veteran-owned company, it's a special day. Last year, we were able to add in the Robustos into our core line on Veterans Day. So this year, we're thinking about doing another LE, and this is one of the cigars that we're aiming for. So it's a Connecticut broadleaf, we want to release a cigar with a cause as well. So
okay, we
have a couple things in mind. We have a couple organizations that we work very closely with, and nothing's finalized. Hence why it doesn't have a band. It's truly a test blend where we still haven't put it into production yet, and it's one of those that we were able to give these samples to a bunch of retailers at PCA and got some very positive feedback. So we'll see where the next 7 months or so go. 7 months until Veterans Day. Yeah, well, I guess 6.5.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So you have so how long normally? Because you guys last year you released your first LE, Phantom Fury.
Yep.
That thing flew out of here, and this year, you have this one that you guys are working on. How long does the process, especially for an LE, like you're more under the gun than if you're working on a core line and you're like, when it's perfect, we'll release it or whatever the parameters are for you. Does your process change at all when you're creating something for a limited edition, or what's that like?
Yeah, kind of. I'll say that if we are not afraid at skipping a year if we weren't ready, if that makes sense. So every 4th of July, we release our goal is every 4th of July, we want to release an LE. We released Phantom Fury last year. We're releasing Sentinel this year.
Sentinel, that's right.
And if for some reason that cigar was not ready, then we would just skip a year. It's one of those that we don't have to be tied to it. We want to do an LE every year, but we don't have to be tied to it. This year we were obviously ready. So what does that process look like? The cigar hasn't even come out for this year, and we're already thinking about what we want to do next year. Right? So my goal is this summer to go down to Nicaragua and work on blends for next year's LE, put it into production, hopefully by the end of the year, and then be ready to roll for obviously the 4th of July. And we'd also like to be ready to go for PCA next year. Now, we're a new brand.
Yeah.
This is something that I'm sure these big brands already have down. We're learning it on the fly, man. So it's a lot of trial by error, and we're starting to refine the process. But yeah, so far so good. But it's something that we're thinking about well in a year in advance.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about, I think from at least my seat watching HDA, I've seen like over the past 6 to 12 months, like crazy buzz.
Sure.
I'll say growth, but I don't actually know. I know that sometimes buzz can look different than when you're actually running the business. And you're like, no, I'm not a millionaire. Trust me.
Well, I'll set the record straight there. We are not millionaires, so that is true.
But what has the past year been like? Like it's been almost that long since we sat down and did a podcast, maybe 9 months. And I've just seen this crazy trajectory with HDA. What has that been like for you and Dre?
It's been wildly overwhelming, like overwhelmingly good.
Okay.
So, we started April 2nd, 2024. Yes, because we just hit our 2-year mark. So
you guys are 4 days older than us.
Yeah.
We're April 6th, 2024.
So April 2nd is when we picked up our very first order of cigars.
Okay.
And we picked up that order with no accounts. We picked up that order with...
Oh, like you picked up your order from the factory.
Like it landed and we loaded it into our humidor.
And you were like, all right, we got to get rid of these.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we talked about it on the last pod. It was this overwhelming feeling of like, holy cow, like good luck us. We better start working. And that year 1 to year 2, we at PCA, we kind of gathered the team around and we showed them what we did in year 1 and we showed them what we did in year 2. And the growth was we grew over 3x what we did year 2 to year 1. And I mean, it was amazing. Like to be able to share that with the team, some of these people that are reps that have really been supporting us truly for the love of the game. And because of their love for Andre and I, their love for the cigars, like to be able to share that with everyone is amazing. So yeah, I mean, we've been very fortunate. There has been a lot of buzz. There's been a lot of people that have really gravitated towards us and our cigars. Andre and I try to do a lot of like time on the road to like get out and
you guys are always on the road.
Yeah, dude. Tell me about it. Yeah. It's been amazing, man. So yeah, it's been a wild second year. We are basically just kicking off year 3 right now. And yeah, we're really excited to see where this thing goes, man. But we've been very fortunate. Guys like you have really helped spread the word on HDA. The amount of times that I'll talk to somebody and they're like, oh yeah, I saw you on the Creekside pod.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So like what you guys do is like so immensely helpful for brands like us. There's some brands that you have in there that, a Creekside pod, like everybody that watches that pod already knows about that brand, but the amount of people that are watching, maybe this episode and had never heard of HDA before, like that's huge for a brand like us. And yeah, we welcome the heck out of it, man. And we couldn't thank you enough.
Dude, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you made the trip to be here. I say we dive in because I think it's a perfect segue. You're starting year 3. I think one of the coolest parts about owning and operating a small business is the ability to change without corporate hierarchy and a board. Sure. And it's not like driving the Titanic. You're driving like a little jet ski.
We are the stakeholders.
You can get smacked by a wave and fall off, unlike unlike other large ships. But you can also like make adjustments and change and evolve your business as you see different demands or want to do different things. And I think that's the moment, maybe one of the first moments of evolution for HDA is happening now.
Yeah. So the big announcement, as many of you know, we have the LE that's coming out this summer is something that we are partnering and we're releasing through the Rojas factory.
Yep.
We worked
big fans of Rojas here.
Yeah. We worked with Lee Marsh of Stolen Thrones on this project. the cigars are being rolled out of the Rojas factory. That's something that we've talked about. But the big news is that we are moving all of our core line production over to Rojas as well.
Oh my.
So, yeah, so everybody's favorites, the Descending Shadows, Cataclysm, Robusto, are making that move over to the Rojas factory. And we're going to be, we worked tirelessly with Lee on putting these blends and bringing our recipes over and putting those into action and making sure that they were what everybody liked of those 3 blends in both sizes. And we couldn't be happier, man. So,
wow.
we've gotten to know Lee really well over the last 2 years. He was a really big mentor to Andre and I, simply from like a friendship perspective. Hey, man, you're a new brand. I've been there. Let me share some words of wisdom. And he was really kind and generous with his time. I think, couple hour phone calls. Like, the dude doesn't have time for that, but he was kind enough to share his time with us. It turned into us meeting him and growing a friendship. And then, we identified that it was going to be a net positive for us to move all of our production over to Rojas, and it's going to allow us to continue to grow. Like, we kind of, one of the things that we've been saying on social media lately is like, jump on the rocket ship. Well, this rocket ship needs a lot more fuel, and the Rojas factory is going to allow us to be able to keep up with the demand that we are so grateful to be having at the moment.
Yeah. Wow. That's really exciting. So you're keeping the 654s and the 548s in each size, or what's the...
Nothing's changing. Nothing's changing. The only thing that's going to change is we're losing our footer band. And that has absolutely nothing to do with the move to Rojas. That was simply a decision that Andre and I made.
Pause. I think that's the best decision from a brand perspective.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were doing that.
Yeah.
I think that is huge.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What is your opinion on it and why?
At risk of offending people, I think once you get into a brand, you want to learn everything about it. And so when there's stuff that's personal to a brand like that, it's veteran owned.
Yep.
And I've always said this about HDA, that you guys do it in a tasteful way. It's not like a camo box with like a machine gun band and like all of these like things that so many other veteran owned brands do. But there's something about learning about the brand because you love the cigars, and then finding out that you guys are veterans and that's what you guys had in common. And then you start talking cigars, and like HDA is so much bigger than simply we're veteran owned, so you should buy our product. And I've disliked any notion that people are, when it relates to your brand, that they're like, oh, all right, I'll give them a try because they're veteran owned. I'm like, that's great. However, you should give them a try because they're great cigars and they're awesome dudes, like building something special. Yeah. So I think when you remove that moniker from like the forefront of the brand, you actually invite people to like, one, just try the cigars. Two, as they dive in, like most cigar people do, especially if you're smoking a boutique brand at the size of HDA, like you're probably going to do some research and then you learn, and there's more layers to it, and it becomes like a total story, and not just we're veteran owned, we're women owned, we're black owned, we're like all these different owned. It's like, yeah, but you make cigars and you're building a business and it's real.
Perfectly said. I mean, that's why we're doing it.
That's my thoughts. Clearly I have opinions on this.
No, I mean, yeah, I was talking with Jordan yesterday, and one of the things that I told him was like, I personally love supporting veteran-owned businesses, but I'm not going to blindly support veteran-owned businesses. Like, as a veteran, I greatly appreciate these veteran-owned companies. Yes. But at the same time, I'm not going to lower my standards just because they're veteran-owned. If anything, I should increase my standards. Yeah. Right? And so we don't want somebody to smoke HDA simply because we're veteran-owned, and we don't want to be judged that way. Instead, we want to be judged based off of the quality of our cigars. So
I think that's the difference of building a brand for the long haul. It's like, no, we are making cigars. Yeah. We're not just saying we're veteran owned, so you should buy our cigars, and it's a bit or it's a shtick or something. It's like, no, this is a business that we're going to be in for a really long time. Yeah. That's what it signals to me.
Yeah. And that's our goal, right? Like we don't want to be a flash in the pan. We want to be here for the long haul. So Yeah, we're ditching the
that's
footer
cool.
band.
Nice.
Now the boxes are going to stay the same. Now the box does say Better Known on it. That was the one piece that we really wanted to keep, like on our branding. If you go to our website, we say it on our website, but in terms of like the actual presentation of the product, that was the one place that we wanted to keep it. Boxes are remaining the same size. Cigars, nothing is going to change about those cigars. The blends are staying the same. They're just simply moving that recipe over to a new factory.
And then what has obviously the ability to keep up with your demand is wildly important. But I want to know some other things that excited you about Rojas and working with Lee. Like, is it access to tobaccos? Is it a style of blending? Is it the factory itself? Like, what are the things that make it really exciting to be at Rojas?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of everything. So, yeah, the access to tobacco is definitely at the forefront. We're excited, for maybe some core line additions, maybe some other LEs in the future. It feels like, at Rojas, we're going to have a pretty large playground. And that's going to allow us to, it's going to allow us to do some really fun things. Lee is the type of person, I talked to him twice yesterday on the way down here. So he's the type of person that we can have a lot of conversations with. He's the type of person that, hey, Lee, when are you going to the factory next? All right, cool, man, I'm going to join you. And we kick it around Esteli, and we go hang out in the factory. We build a relationship with not only Lee, but with the people at the factory. I mean, hell, Noel Rojas was so kind. He opened up his house to Andre and I when we were down there, had us over to his house for dinner, got to meet his amazing family, enjoy a wonderful dinner. And so like that is, it's definitely, we're really excited about building like this lasting back and forth friendship where I can bounce ideas off of Lee. Because the reality is like Andre and I are new at this, right? Like we are admittedly new at this. We make cigars that we like, but we want the ability to continue to grow what it is that we like and continue to make some cigars that are a good representation of what Andre and I enjoy. And Lee is really, he's been an amazing friend. He's been an amazing business partner now. And it's going to allow us to not only scale quickly, but also be able to produce some maybe stuff that we weren't expecting to make. Some stuff that, I think the people out there are going to really enjoy. The Sentinel, we're using a Mexican San Andreas. The Mexican San Andreas that Lee uses on the Crook of the Crown. Like that is something that we are so excited about. I'm a huge fan of that cigar. That's one of my all-time favorites. That type of stuff is like really exciting for Andre and I. So it allows us, it increases our maneuverability. We are growing, but we still have to be able to remain nimble. Mm-hmm. And, with that move to Rojas and working with Lee a lot closer, it's definitely going to prepare us for the future and allow us to really continue to fuel this rocket ship.
It's really exciting. So when will this take place? Like when people watching, if they go buy an HDA, when can they expect it to be? I mean, and I know that the blends are staying the same, but there's still some new, like there's no way they're going to taste exactly the same, which I don't think is even the point. It's to get them as close as possible. And to me, it's kind of exciting. Like it's like getting an updated version of a blend where you're like, oh, this is fun now.
Windows 98 to Windows 2000.
Yeah, it's still a Windows, but there's some subtle differences. But when can they expect to start seeing the production from the new factory?
So by the time that this airs, retailers, when they place orders, will be receiving all of our cigars out of Rojas.
Cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, it would be one of those that, depending on when your retailer places an order, that's when they'll be getting the Rojas stuff. Rojas. Yeah, man.
Okay, and I need quick pause on this cigar because this thing's delicious.
Yeah, man.
This is like a chocolate bar.
It's super sweet, isn't it?
It is so sweet.
Yeah, we joke around. We
There
call
is
it the
no
dessert
spice.
Cigar. Yeah.
I can't believe this.
And that's kind of like the goal for LEs, right? We want to do something slightly different than what we do in our core line. That's what we did with Phantom Fury. That's what we're doing with Sentinel. Sentinel is like a chocolate bar too. This cigar is the Ometepe binder on this cigar slaps. I fell in love with this cigar. I'll tell you, if we end up releasing this into production, I'll be the first person to tell you this cigar is the first and only cigar that we've released that we haven't blended. This cigar was given to us in this form, and we were like, yes. And I shouldn't say we. I did, and then I told Dre afterwards. I was like, "Hey, Dre, I did something, man, and I'm gonna apologize if you don't like it." But fortunately, he did. So, Dre almost had to smack me in the mouth for making a big purchase without talking to him first. But sometimes you just gotta grab an opportunity when you see it. So this cigar's we're at a certain point we got to stop calling it a test blend, and we just got to say that this is going to be our Veterans Day release.
It's really delicious.
Yeah, man. Thank you. We that's a cigar. Like I said, we want to do something like with a purpose on this cigar. So we have a couple organizations that we work with, a couple charities that we work with. So the intent is to release this cigar and give a portion of all the proceeds back directly to that organization. Do like a kickoff with that charity, like a kickoff event, and then just rock and roll with it. So hasn't gone to production really yet. Cool. Don't know how many of these we're going to be making yet, but I'm glad you're enjoying it.
So let me ask, I'm kind of going back to our earlier convo talking about being in the business for a couple of years, but you went, especially for people that haven't seen the first podcast we did with you, maybe this is the first time that they've sat down with HDA.
Sure.
You went from cigar consumer.
Yep.
No family relatives in the industry, no knowledge of, no friends, like nothing that worked and built cigar brands or manufacturing. What has it been like now being in it for a couple of years? Like one or two things that were not what you were expecting. They can be positive or negative, but you go from being a consumer and you're like, I'm going to make cigars. This is awesome.
Yeah.
You're in reality now, sure. Years later. What has been illuminating to you?
I'll say that, I didn't realize as a consumer how much this multi-$100 million industry is a good old boys club. And I mean, yep. Like the amount of everybody knows everybody in this industry. And what I have found too is there's just a lot of things that just need to be updated. And yep. I'm not saying that in a negative way. But like I come from, I did traditional business development for a government contractor prior to jumping into this. You have worked in business prior to working with Creekside. And when you look at the industry holistically, it's just very outdated. There's a lot of processes that need to change. And so that's one thing that's been kind of shocking to me is that there's just things that we could do better, but then we as the industry holistically, we just got to get a little bit more updated. I'll also say too, even though we are an outsider, in the sense that we are the new guys, right? Yep. We are the FNG, dude. Despite that, the positive reception and the just warm welcome that so many retailers, so many consumers, other brands have had for HDA. I've never been in an industry like that. Like it might be a good old boys club that there's certain things that need to be updated, but holistically, people have been so kind to us. Yep. And really truly want us to succeed. And I equate that to a lot of things, but hopefully a lot of it is because Andre and I really try to do things the right way. We try and, I was on another podcast a few weeks back, and one of the things I said was when you own a business or you run a business, it's filled with micro decisions. And those little tiny micro decisions might be small, but it really kind of sets the tone for you as a company. And Valet, as an example, we're working with Valet for our humidity packs. One of the conversations I had with Abe is dude, I want these to be made in the U.S. I want all of our packs to be filled. I want all the film to be made in the U.S. We paid a little bit more for it, but those little micro decisions are things that I can stand behind what Andre and I do, and I can look people in the face and confidently say that we did things the right way. Maybe it might not be for you,
Sure,
but we
but
did
you have
things the right way.
your set of values.
Exactly. And so, yeah, hopefully, you know, a lot of people have been like kind of gravitating towards us for those types of reasons. But yeah, I mean, the industry, look, man, we learn something new legitimately every day. Like people say that and like, oh, yeah, yeah. No. We really learn something new every single day. And it's been amazing to grow. It's definitely not a business for anybody that's looking to get rich quick. You're in the wrong business. Do not start a cigar brand. I assume do not open up a cigar lounge. If you're trying to get rich quick,
no,
not the industry for you.
No. Yeah, take like one of the smallest market percentages of people who do a certain thing. Like what is like 1% of the U.S. population, which is still a decent amount of people, but compared to other industries, 1%. Heavy cash flow intensive.
Yep.
Big inventory.
Yep.
Natural products, crops, multiple people in the chain of delivery. A lot of things can go wrong, and a lot of things cost money.
Yep, a lot of mistakes and accidents cost a lot of money.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's why once you're inside of cigars, you realize that there is this like good old boys circle, because these are the people who did it, who like
set the tone
against
for us.
The odds of what other businesses they could have opened and operated that it would be more profitable, higher revenues, less hands-on. They essentially chose the harder things to do in life and building and scaling large cigar companies. And so I think there's that level of like both pride, resilience, kind of some callous on them.
Absolutely.
And so when there's new people and new, not even just new people, but new advancements in how business is done and technology and ways of doing it, they're more resistant to it because they did it their way and they like white knuckled their way through and built these little empires.
Yeah, for sure.
So like I can understand that and sympathize and like I get it. But I can also at the same time get that and say it's time for us to like join 2026 as an industry.
Yep.
And start to innovate and start to reach new people, or we're not going to have consumers that smoke cigars in 15 years from now if we're not building places that are approachable or creating brands that are authentic and real and there's no smoke and mirrors. Like we have behind us Gen Z and Gen X that are like probably the most, they can smell bullshit from a mile away of any brand.
100%.
And when they smell it, they do not mess with it.
Dude,
they're like, you're done.
You're nailing it right on the head, man.
But if we don't have brands like you and Dre, where
or lounges like Creekside,
where there's no smoke and mirrors. It's not just all of this success and we're the best and there's no bravado to it. It's just like, no, like we're friends who met, we're grinding it out. We're trying to do the best that we can do. We're making products. This is how we do it. These are the people we work with. These are the cigars and the tobaccos we use. Like there's this transparency that's real transparency, not for the sake of marketing. That the more brands move to that, the more people are going to be excited about smoking brands other than the big three. And the more lounges that say no matter how you dress, what you look like, how old you are, as long as you're legally allowed to smoke, you can be comfortable in here.
Yep. And we'll teach you how to be comfortable in here.
And we'll teach you everything about every cigar in there.
Yeah,
but without the like, oh, you don't know about, this actually comes from the region and dot. It's like, okay, like, dude, let's just start with here. Smoke this and tell me if you like it. And then we'll keep going. Once you like it, I'll tell you some things about it.
You're hitting the nail on the head here, man. Like the reality is that the old ways add a lot of value and they were the pioneers, and like the ways of the cigar industry right now are like it's what we fell in love with cigars. But the reality is like we have to be ready for that next generation. You know, you and I are give or take a couple years about the same age, but we're thinking about the guys that are 20, 25 years old right now. Those are going to be the next generation of cigar smokers and what resonates with them. And out of a love for the cigar industry that I've gotten to know as a business owner over the last 2 years, but one that really turned me into a cigar fan, 20 years ago. That is what we have to be concerned about.
Yes.
Because the reality is like, if the consumer base starts dying off here in the U.S. and it doesn't resonate with people here in the U.S., cigars are going to greatly change.
Yep.
Like these fun projects, these boutique brands that people like really enjoy, they're just going to eventually start dying off. And look, the reality too is like, HDA, we never have asked for handouts. We've never asked for anything free. We expect to fully earn our space on the shelf.
Yep.
And we just want to be given an opportunity to succeed. One of the things that we tell all of our retailers is, if you take a chance and you bring HDA in and it does not move, we will 100% buy back every single order, because we believe in our product.
Yep.
And we believe that it's going to resonate with people. We want to travel out and do events with you. This is like kind of like, I would say, one of the newer things that we have the ability as a small brand to do. And I think it's, the goal is, we want to resonate with people. We want people to really find almost like a brand identity with HDA. We want to connect with people on social media. We want to release content that people enjoy watching. That kind of stuff is it's kind of like the newer age. It's definitely new for the cigar industry.
Yeah, it totally is. And we can do a little shameless plug, because I love what you guys are doing with the Lounge Life podcast. Because, and we talked about this a little bit before we started shooting, it's a different approach to what you normally see brands doing, which is just talking about themselves, or just talking about their product, or just showing their product. And there's, to some level, you need to do that. But now you guys are kind of going into the lounges that you are in every week throughout the U.S., doing events or introducing people to the product, or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
And you're sitting down with the different owners or GMs of these lounges, and we're hearing their story.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's like a reverse thing from what it's normally been. Like, it's normally, they have you on the podcast and you tell the story everywhere you go. But now it's like, no, now Zack is telling the stories of all of these little culture hubs.
Yeah.
In all these different cities.
Because every lounge has such a drastically different story. The end result might be very similar, but how they got there, the journey of how they got there,
Yep.
the personality of each lounge is so different. Like, if you go to a lounge in the Midwest versus in the Northeast versus in the Southwest, completely different culture in those lounges. And, Andre and I have really gotten to see it like heavily over the last 2 years, and brand owners out there that do a lot of traveling, they know exactly what we're talking about. Oftentimes, when you're a lounge owner, you just are like, well, this is the way that I do it. This is the way that everybody does it. But you don't understand what your guy on the other side of the country that went through a very similar, created a similar product, how different he's doing it. And our goal is to give a platform to some of these lounge owners that don't have a platform. We're very fortunate that a lot of people want to give Andre and I a platform to share our story. So potentially ad nauseum for some of you listening, you've heard our story and we love sharing it. But now we want to also share other people's story that don't have that platform. We want to go to some of the retailers that have helped support us and maybe give fans of HDA a roadmap of, oh man, next time I'm in Ohio, I know I can swing by Creekside and grab an HDA cigar. Or next time I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, I know I can go to Safari Cigars and grab an HDA cigar, or go to Ted Cigars and grab an HDA, because we want to sit down and like kind of share these stories. And frankly, dude, it all boils down to, I enjoy the heck out of it. I love hearing these stories. I love, we sat down with a lounge owner in Grand Island, Nebraska. He built his entire lounge by hand. He built his own lounge. He took 11 months, I believe, and built this thing by hand.
Wow.
Pristine. Beautiful. Like, obviously he had, I think, a couple contractors working for him.
Sure,
but he built it. And he shared his story on how he built it.
What's the name of that lounge?
That is Copperleaf in Grand Island, Nebraska.
Copperleaf. 'Leaf.
Man, I'll tell you. Shout out. You should definitely, you should definitely, 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 these stories are really fun for us to share. I appreciate the shameless plug of the lounge life, but it's something that we are getting a lot of joy out of.
But I think that
sharing
shows
that love.
Like you can't, frankly, you just be burnt out at this point with how many you've shot. If you didn't actually enjoy
Oh, for sure.
sitting down and hearing all of these, like, you know, you're traveling all day, you're doing an event, and then like, all right, yeah, let's sit down and talk for 45 minutes to an hour. Like,
Yeah.
you have to like it. You have to
Yeah.
actually be curious
Yeah.
about it, or else you're not going to do it for very long.
Oh, for sure. And
So
I will say,
I think that's great.
I'll apologize to all the viewers that are like, man, this guy really sucks at interviewing people, because I'm new at it, dude. I'm new with the, you know, prior to social media, I didn't have much of or prior to the brand, I didn't have much of a social media. So this whole like doing interviews is, I still feel like a baby at it. So. But yeah, I enjoyed shifting the focus away from HDA and instead putting it directly on the lounge.
I wanted to ask you about your home lounge, or like the lounge that you smoke cigars at wherever you live.
Yeah.
Like before starting HDA.
Yeah.
And like, what was that the place that you really learned about cigars, or did you learn cigars through media, like consuming media?
Yeah.
But like,
That's a weird
tell me
one.
about that.
Yeah. So that's first of all, that's the first time I've ever been asked that question. So props to you for asking a very brand new, unique question. My story is a little bit different than others because, you know, like Andre, we started smoking cigars when we were in the military. So when I first started smoking cigars, I lived in a small town, Clovis, New Mexico. Shout out Cannon Air Force Base. I'm shouting you out not because it's the greatest place in the world, but because if you live there, I'm thinking about you, man. It's a rough place to live. But in Clovis, New Mexico, I don't think it's changed, but there was no cigar lounges. There wasn't. So I had to drive an hour and a half to Lubbock, Texas, to go to a cigar lounge. And so it was like a buddy and I started smoking cigars that we would get on base at the PX. And we started like dabbling in cigars, and we would go to this cigar lounge called Heroes and Legacies in Lubbock, Texas, right off of the Texas Tech campus. And that's really where I started experiencing cigars. That's where I had my first Padrón. That's where I moved away from a lot of your infused like CAO flavor bomb cigars.
Yeah.
And moved into traditional Nicaraguan and Dominican tobacco. That really kind of set me on my cigar journey. And then, you know, in 2011, I ended up separating from the military, and I moved out to where I live now in Northern Virginia. And so we have quite a few cigar lounges out our way. I would say the predominant like home lounges. Actually, it ended up being our very first account, and it was my home lounge, but I didn't have a relationship with the owner.
Yeah.
Until I started the business, but that's Tobaccology in Northern Virginia. So shout out Brett. And yeah, so that was kind of like my home lounge, but I kind of considered myself like a nomad in that we would go to Tobaccology, or I would go over down to Cigar Town, or I'd go up to Leesburg Cigar and Pipe, or I kind of moved around, but I did a lot of traveling, and whenever I would travel, I would go into cigar lounges.
Yes.
So I started seeing cigar lounges across the country. So I have like almost like these like micro home lounges, if you will, across the country, whether it's Pittsburgh or the
What's
cigar
your shop
vault
in Pittsburgh?
So we have a few. We have a few that we absolutely love. I think of like Just the Tip in Pittsburgh. I think of the Cigar Vault Oakdale up in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we just met
Leaf and
Norm
Bean.
at PCA.
Oh, dude, what a great
Shout out Norm.
Norm and Miguel, man. Those are my dudes, man. Good guys. You know, Sam up in Just the Tip. Amazing dude. Really cool story. He was also on an episode of The Lounge Life, and so we have like these micro like home lounges. You know, whether it's Smokers Abbey down in Austin, Texas, who we were excited we got to bring onto the HDA family this year. So really stoked about that. So yeah, I mean, it was like almost like as I progressed throughout my 20 plus years of smoking, my home lounge has kind of changed a little bit. And so, yeah, it's been a fun journey, but yeah, everything has kind of shaped me differently because I've traveled so much and I've been able to go to all these different lounges. You see different, like the different culture pieces that we like to highlight on the lounge life. You see that throughout the country, and you see how some people are doing things differently. But yeah, I would say definitely current home lounge right now is Tobaccology, and then we have a few home lounges, homes away from home, if you will.
Was there a this may seem like an abrupt shift in gears, but it's a question I've been enjoying asking people. Growing up, did anyone in your family own businesses?
No.
None.
Grandparents,
parents,
nope.
Uncles, aunts.
I come from a very blue collar family. My dad is a retired police officer. So as long as I can remember, he's been a cop up until last summer.
Wow.
My mom has been a nurse from as long as I can remember, and my grandfather on my dad. So my dad's dad, he was a milkman, and yeah, very blue collar family. No business owners in my family whatsoever.
Wow.
And so yeah, it was definitely. There wasn't a blueprint that was laid out for me that I experienced as a kid.
Right.
And wanting to start my own company, it was very much like an interest that I had from a very young age. I remember it really started like when I was young, like going into like restaurants or sports bars and being like, man, they should do this differently. If I owned a business, right? Like what everybody does. If I owned a business, I would, instead of 2 TVs on this wall, I'd have 3. Or if I owned this business, I would, and it really kind of like just, it was something that from a very young age, I remember my favorite class in high school was entrepreneurship. And I remember we got to build a business from cradle to grave. And that class really like resonated with me. And then I eventually went to school and got a degree in business with the intent of one day maybe starting my own business, just not really knowing what market it was going to be in. And cigars, it was definitely cigars became the path, and it became pretty evident probably about 7 or 8 years ago that I wanted to do something in cigars. I originally, both Andre, it should be noted, I don't want to speak for him, but I'm going to a little bit here. Very similar situation. From what I understand, none of his family owned a business, but he had this passion to do his own thing as well. And he also fell in love with cigars. So when we met, we both had this burning passion to start a business, and we both had this burning passion in the cigar industry. And it was like, yeah,
ding, ding, ding.
Exactly. Yeah, it was pretty evident pretty early on that we wanted to get something up and rolling. And fast forward, that was 8 years ago now.
Wow.
Almost 9 years ago. Here we are.
Wow.
Yeah.
So who are the people then that have influenced you in ways that have then impacted how you've built HDA, right? Like who are the bosses you had? I don't know all of the terminology, but the sergeants or the captains or whoever the case may be, people that were in leadership over you. Yeah. Throughout your career as just a working person, who are the people, and maybe you didn't work for them, but are there any people that stick out that instilled certain things in you that directly impact how you run HDA?
For sure. Both good and bad too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's my story too.
For me, there was many people during my military time and then after my military time that you could identify pretty early on were really good leaders of people, good leaders of adults. I would say men, but it applies to men and women, right? Just good leaders of people. And usually the good leaders of people are not ones that demand respect, but just automatically command respect. Mm-hmm. And for me, a lot of that came down to exactly what I was talking about earlier. Is just you can tell that they're doing things the right way. If you have to deliver bad, tough news, you're delivering bad or tough news, but you know at the heart of it, it's all coming from like a good place. It's coming from the right direction, either for your business, for your unit in the military, for your contract. I did a lot of contract work. Whatever is right for the greater good, those decisions are being made. So Yeah, I mean, I have many different people. I think about one of my very first. He was a sergeant. I forget the term, but he basically was like I was his direct report. Really kind of shaped me as a man, because at the time I was 18 years old, 19 years old, and he kind of shaped me into basically being an adult, right? Like really helped turn me into an adult, and really taught me the big boy program is what we like to call it, right? Like I'm going to teach you I'm going to treat you like a big boy, but as soon as you screw up, I'm going to treat you like a child. So don't screw up, right? Like I'm going to give you the freedom to operate. But you know, we're going to treat this like the big boy program, and I expect you to act responsibly. And that really kind of helped shape me. I also saw, you know, a lot of people that didn't walk the walk, but, you know, definitely talk the talk. Guys that, you know, my unit, we were very undermanned when I was in the military, and we did a lot of flying hours, and guys that were maybe up at the top and just were not contributing the fly hours that we as a unit needed. You know, if he wasn't flying a shift, that meant that one other person didn't get a shift off. So you saw people that were, you know, that were definitely talking the talk, but were not in there grinding it with everybody else at the lower level, so that way guys could go home and see their family at night. But then at the same time, you would see the ones that were coming in on the weekends and working the midnight shift, so that way that person can go home. That type of stuff like really resonates with you. Yeah. And then, you know, shift post military, a lot of my time as a contractor, kind of more of the same. You know, I had many great bosses that gave you the freedom to operate, gave you like creative freedom to, you know, gave you room to cook, you know what I mean? And that type of stuff definitely resonates with both Andre and I, and really kind of formed the foundation for what we wanted to do in business. But then when the time comes that we start having employees, how we want to treat our employees, and then also setting expectations for how that we need them to act in the greater good of the brand too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it's amazing when you sit back, and I know I've done this recently, just kind of reflect on the good leaders, the bad leaders, the good decisions you've been a part of, the bad decisions you've been a part of throughout your career, and how, to what you said earlier, it impacts the micro decisions that you don't even you're not even every time recalling an exact moment and being like, oh, I remember they did it this way, we're going to do it this way. It's almost like it's a response to everything you've seen, and how I haven't really thought about it that way, but how it's all these tiny little decisions throughout your day that are shaping the narrative to your brand. They're shaping the way it's going to grow.
They're setting the tone.
Completely setting the tone for your vendors, your staff, your partners, your, like, every decision you make has weight.
Yep.
Which I don't always think of it that way. Maybe actually in a benefit of, like, if I send this email, is it going to destroy my business? But but it is the little inputs.
Sure.
And then people respond to all of those in different ways. But that's really interesting.
And I will say that one of the big takeaways that I have, I want to put a bow like on the question that you asked, is at my last one of my last jobs, I saw firsthand how treating other companies that you work with that could be perceived as competitors, and then treating vendors, if you will, in this case it would be almost like a retailer, and then treating the end, what we call the warfighter, in this case it's the consumer. How you treat them, I think, really is something that you can't fake. It's something that people can see right through your BS if you say one thing and you're actually treating these people that you work with very differently. I very much am bought into the idea of, obviously, treat people how you want to be treated, but how that relates for the cigar industry is, like, I want to have a great working relationship with brands, other brands. people that are my competitors.
Yep.
Because I don't see them as competitors. I mean, you could break down the cigar industry and you could almost say legacy against boutique, right? But I don't necessarily see us as competitors. I see us as people that are on the same journey at different points in their journey that are hoping for the same outcome,
yes.
which is to grow the cigar industry, to spread the word of what cigars are, and how we're different than the perception by maybe the other 99% of the population. I also see our partners with retailers as like obviously extremely vital, and I try and always help out a retailer and take care of our retailers and treat everybody a little bit, cater to everybody's needs. I don't want to say treat them differently because for the most part, everybody is treated the exact same, but I understand that the needs of one retailer are going to be very different than the needs of another. We love working with small retailers. The guy that comes in and goes, hey man, he shows up at PCA and he's like, I came with a budget of $2,000 and I'm going to be spending 1,000 of those dollars on you, right? Like that, dude, legitimate goosebumps. Like that means so much to Andre and I because there's so many retailers out there that don't give us a chance. Like, who am I not to give this guy a chance, right? I want to, like, from a business perspective, like, I want to, that $1,000 purchase, we go in, we crush it, we start growing the brand, and it starts helping him, and we become the biggest brand in his lounge. Like, that's obviously, from a business perspective, that's nice for us, but, like, I want to be able to hang my hat on the fact that 5 years, 10 years from now, their business is thriving,
yes.
And we could say that HDA was a small part of what helped that business succeed. We don't have a minimum purchase for that reason. This is no shade at anybody who does, but we want to be able to support the little guy and the big guy. And we want to be able to, we understand that the needs are a little bit different. We're very fortunate when you own a business, you get to make those decisions.
Yep.
A lot of bigger businesses are like, nah, man, it's not worth my time. Which I get. I totally understand. We're small enough that it is still 100% worth our time.
Yeah.
And the relationship is forever going to be worth our time.
Yeah. I mean, that's the perfect bow because at the end of the day, this is, at least for me, like the most relational industry I've ever been a part of.
100%.
And so if that is not at the forefront of decision making, you're going to probably alienate yourself from a lot of people. And you're going to be like fighting unnecessary battles for a long time.
Yep.
It's the best part about cigars to me, is the people aspect and the relationships you build. And, I love it now, sitting in it because I feel like we are at this point where we are the next generation that is starting to take over, lounges, brands, even in the manufacturing area. It's getting younger and younger. And we're able to start building that. Just like 30 years ago, there were people building lounges and they were building their business with Fuentes and Padrones and Davidoffs of the world. Like they helped them build their business.
Yep.
Now we're doing the same thing, except it's with totally different brands.
Yep.
But it's the same playbook. Like we're going to support the brands that we support, and they're going to be the ones that grow with us as we grow, and vice versa.
Exactly.
And I think there's something really cool where we can, it's also selfishly why I love documenting so much of Creekside, is because in 10, 15, 20 years from now, to be able to look back when we're, the biggest HDA purveyor in the world, and among like all of these other brands that we have, but like these are like the core ones, and people associate different brands with different retailers. Are like, no, they built their business with these guys. Yeah. Like they said yes when other people said no. They like, there's a real bond there, and there's something really special about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of it, one of the folks that like one of the stakeholders, if you will, that we're not mentioning too, is the end consumer as well. And like we obviously we try and do a lot to work directly with the end consumer. I think oftentimes a lot of brands will rely on the retailer to do that brand brand familiarization, and I see it as like a kind of it's like a two-prong approach. Is like we try and do a lot to grow our brand And then we rely on retailers to like assist and like echo some of those things that we've always said about our brand. And, Creekside, you guys are very unique in that you give forums and you give platforms to brands like us that allow us to share our story. You do a good job of sharing the stories of all the brands that you work with. But, the reality is like we have to do a lot of that on our own too.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of brands that very much solely rely on retailers, and that's not something that we want. We want to be able to share our story, but we rely on a lot of our partners to kind of amplify that story.
Yeah, it's both. It's
100%.
both. It's like it shouldn't be all on you, and it shouldn't be all on me. If the end goal is that the consumer gets to try your product, they got to know something about it.
Sure.
And they got to be introduced to it at some level, whether it's from you or me or other people making content or talking about a specific brand. But yeah, it has to be both, or else it feels the scale is tilted in where the effort lies. But that's something I've definitely appreciated about you and Dre, with the importance you guys have put on building that social. I don't just want to say following, just building the social content library of things that people can go watch when they get introduced to it, or maybe that's where they find out about it, or there's places they can go to go deeper into a brand. And then the next time they come back in here, they're even more fired up and excited. Now they're asking questions, and our guys are able to, this is what this blend is. And actually this is where the name comes from, and on and on and on. It makes it way more fun. It's been great chatting with you.
You too, brother. Thank you for having us, man.
Yeah, this is exciting.
Stoked to break the news here. You heard it here first.
Yes,
right?
Finally. You heard it here first.
Yeah,
on the Creekside Pod and Patreon. Stay tuned. We're gonna do a little Patreon post show. We're back with the post shows. Everyone else, thank you for watching. If you're not part of our Discord channel, please go join. You can see Zack, Dre, bunch of other awesome brand owners, consumers from around literally the world that hang out there every single day. The link is in the description of this video. And if you want to find more ways to support the Creekside channel because you're just dying to help, you can join our Patreon, and that is an awesome way to help support making videos like this happen every single week. All right, that's enough self-promotion. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for the support. We'll talk to you all soon.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.